I want to start out this morning. We're going to talk about insulin resistance. We're going to talk about gut microbiome. We're going to talk about all these things that insulin resistance leads to. And the more I dive in and look for information for people on could insulin resistance link to their issues, the more I find yes, it could. And this is what doctors are saying too. Dive in and start figuring out what insulin resistance links to, the more links they're finding and the more they're convinced that insulin resistance really is linked to almost every disease and disorder that we have today that's lifestyle related. And that's impactful because that means it could be you. So if you're suffering with any of this on the list, let's talk about it. Ask me questions because I don't want to just be talking. I really want to answer your questions as much as I can. I did some videos on Hashimoto's this weekend. Sorry, delaying getting some of them out. And intermittent fasting. There was a question brought up on one of my lives about how doctors are saying that fasting is bad for Hashimoto's. And so I tried to address those questions. Do the same for you where I can. My information comes from the NIH, from physicians, from reputable sources, and I try to link those as much as I can. So let's dive in. This morning, I'm super excited. I've been learning more and more and more about the gut microbiome and my favorite super nutrient, fiber. So I've talked for a long time about how the gut, the heart, and the brain are all linked, but I had no idea how intensely they were linked. So let's take a look at the gut because I'm really on a mission. Oh, I also want to talk about this 48 hours once a week fast. I'll live with Dr. Jones tomorrow. So let's get into all of it. If you guys are interested, let me know. I will try to answer those questions and help out. But when we think about, so this is not my opinion, this is what I just read, but I want you guys to answer me. What do you think is more of the driver, the gut or the brain? 1 for the gut, 2 for the brain. I probably should have done that the other way around. Which one do you think is more of a driver, especially in your mood and overall health? Which is more of a driver in keeping up all of these things that create your mood, the gut or the brain? 1 for gut, 2 for the brain. So somebody already said 1. Anybody else have any opinions on that? And it's okay. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, then you're learning, right? Because I'm learning, and I had no idea about some of this stuff. I talk about insulin resistance, how it affects the brain and how it affects Alzheimer's and mood and all of those things. And now I'm learning, like when I talk about the gut and why it's so important and why this fiber that I talk about is so important, here it is. Your serotonin, your dopamine, your norepinephrine, your GABA, which all relate to your brain function, are actually cued in. Hey, it's a blue day, Jackie, but I did kind of a pinkish red lips thinking of you. But the gut really is the driver of all of that. So your brain utilizes it, but your gut cues all of those up. So when your gut is unhealthy, it's sending unhealthy cues to your brain. So one of the things I learned, we always talk about the central nervous system and how the brain downloads information to the body. But what's not often talked about is that there are many more pathways going up to the brain from the gut and through the vagus nerve than there are going down to the body from the brain through the central nervous system. That's crazy. I mean, I should have known that, but I didn't. And so when I talk about the gut being so important, this is why. This is one of the reasons why. When I talk about the gut being like the biggest organ in your body and how it affects all of your other organs and your health, this is what's happening. Your gut is sending all of that information out, not just to the rest of your body, not just to things like your thyroid, which could be Hashimoto's, but it's also sending it to your brain. So anxiety, depression, mood problems, Alzheimer's, possibly Parkinson's, some of those things can be linked to insulin resistance. Exacerbated autistic symptoms can absolutely be related to insulin resistance. Now, if we start adding into that the fact that the gut-brain axis is acting so heavily and these cues up to the brain, there's a problem there, right? If your gut's unhealthy. And here's the thing. Everybody's gut microbiome is different. So different foods act differently in everybody. I've also been spending a lot of time listening to Dr. Lee this weekend, who's more of a vegan type person than I am, but he talks about the genetics of it all and how, you know, where you're born and all of that makes a difference too. Wow, there's so much information this morning, you guys. But understand this, what is going on in that microbiome is driving your cravings. And I've talked about it in a simple term before, that if you're eating a lot of sugar and you're creating a negative gut microbiome, they crave those foods. And so you're going to be craving more of that. What you feed your body a lot of, the gut microbiome is built off of, and that's what it's going to crave and want throughout the rest of the day. When you start to change that gut microbiome, then you start to have healthier cravings. So people who say, well, I crave sugar all the time and I just can't do this. You guys, all change takes a little persistence, right? You cannot change without changing what you're doing. Change just doesn't happen because you will it into existence. You have to put action behind that. So start changing what you eat. So I'm going to dive into the little 48-hour fast in my craziness, my good craziness. So everything that I know and understanding what I'm learning now, I decided I need more fiber in my diet and that I'm probably lacking some fat protein in my diet. Fats are probably not a problem. I enjoy butter and olive oil and all of that stuff. But my good friend Jackie, if she's still in here, part of it is based on something that she taught me, this double. So I'm doing a 48-hour fast and people are like, oh my gosh, you're going to be so nutrient deficient. And you talk about not cutting calories and you talk about all that. So guess what? I created a program for myself on how I'm going to eat over the 5 days that I do eat in the week. And today's a fasting day. And of course, I put everything in a spreadsheet. And of course, I counted all the macros, the calories, the carbohydrates, the fiber, the fats, the protein. And guess what? With just simply focusing on fiber and protein, my calories were just naturally down over the week about a few hundred calories. So on a daily basis, some days the calories were higher. Some days they were a little lower, but they were right around 2,000 to a little bit over 2,000 calories a day, but mostly focused on protein and fats with adding in a lot of fiber. But during that time, most of those three macronutrients, fiber, protein, and fats, were all doubled during those days. That's, from everything I understand, that's a pretty healthy system. Guess what? Ice cream and stuff like that became, over just 1 week time of making sure I focused on those things, the sugar cravings started going down. My grandson had ice cream because he just had dental surgery and they told him only soft, so we let him have some ice cream. And he wanted me to have ice cream with him, and I just couldn't even, it was just not there. So what you treat your gut like, what you teach your gut to eat, what you teach your gut to live on is what you're going to crave eventually. Genetics plays a part, but what you're putting in your face plays a big part. Does it take a little effort to change that? Yeah, but it's not that bad. So I'm doing a 48-hour fast every week, but my calorie load over the week is about the same. So I'm not reducing calories drastically. I'm not cutting my calories in half or anything like that. I wasn't even able to put the gym in last week because just whatever happened. I lost a tennis shoe and yada, yada, yada. So both tennis shoes are in-house. Earphones are in-house. Today's the day I get back in the gym. And still and yet, just by doing that 48-hour fasting and making a specific type of eating, I lost 4 pounds last week. And lost 4 pounds by the time I finished my fasting, went through 5 days of eating, woke up this morning at the beginning of my next fast because Dr. Jones says to weigh at the beginning of your fast, and I still lost 4 pounds. And I still had the same amount of calories, but my nutrients were doubled. These nutrients were doubled. You guys, it's important. It's so important to your health, to your gut, to all of it, that we really need to pay attention to it. So I have a book called 6 Simple Steps, an ebook. Please download it. It talks about these things, fiber. So what we're going to do with insulin resistance is fiber first, prioritize protein. So the next thing on your plate should be protein, fill up with healthy fats, then you're going to limit your carbs. My carb intake this last week was down so drastically, not necessarily because I tried, but just because by the time I really focused on getting high amounts of these factors in, there just was no room. So cortisol being high, let's talk about that. I know I've heard that question so many times, you guys, and it's true. There, you can have a little cortisol uptake when you're fasting, however, uptick. But let's look at this. If you're having insulin resistance, that's increasing your cortisol levels. If you're not sleeping well, if you're stressed, those are increasing cortisol levels. So what I'm talking about is a holistic approach. 48 hours of fasting is not going to take your cortisol levels so high it's damaging you, but it's going to bring insulin levels down and therefore bring your overall cortisol levels down. So rest, electrolytes, and during the fast, and when you're not fasting, sure, the electrolytes and these, you're going to see your cortisol levels dropping. I've been doing long fasting along with intermittent fasting for the last 2 years. We did a full panel of hormones on me a little over a month ago, and my cortisol levels for the first time in over 20 years were normal except for my evening cortisol, and it was a little high, whereas my cortisol levels were so bad before that doctors would ask me how I was even upright. If you can't sleep, patty cakes, there's a few things, you know, there's lots of stuff we can do for our sleep, right? I'm a person who has problems sleeping. I have ADHD. Do you have ADHD? Is that one of the problems that you're having with sleep? So what I'm leaning into more, like I find if I do meditation stuff that has words, it's triggering my ADHD all night. If I do something like brown noise or black screen stuff, it's helping with sleep. One of the other things that I have sound night sleep, I did not once. Depression and ADHD in hand as well. The gut microbiome. There's so many things that are linking forth between ADHD and insulin resistance. But if you're having problems sleeping, try that. Do some brown noise, which helps you focus, or some just that soft noise at night when you sleep with black screen, or just. But try to limit your screen time an hour before. Shut all of it off. Some people even just keep that out of their room. I'm not that good at it yet. So all of those things, and just really focus on getting sleep. But the supplement that I take that helps me sleep, that helps my gut, that helps my metabolism as well, is on my Linktree. I don't think I have it opened. I will go open that by the time that live ends, but it's called Bone Fortify. So it's magnesium, calcium, vitamin D3, K2, and some that just really help with metabolism. They help with gut microbiome. I think it's like $27 or $30 for a ton. It's a very flavored drink that I just put in some water and I drink it before I go to bed. It helps knock me out. The magnesium in it helps me sleep. It's helping my gut as I sleep. When I wake up in the morning, I don't have morning issues. Now, the reason I love the Bone Fortify, honestly, is because it's the scientists formulated it. It's not a marketing company who said, "Oh, magnesium is the big thing right now. We're going to go out and produce that." They said, "Okay, but if we're going to give magnesium to people, we make it as bioavailable, meaning it takes up in the body as much as possible." And so they combined it with chromium, they combined it with 3K2 and some other ingredients, so that now all of those things are taken up in the body. Calcium, magnesium, chromium, and that it's absorbed as much as possible and as healthily as possible. That's why I love our Bone Fortify. Plus, in a form that is really easy to ingest and is delivered to the body easier. So I sleep super sound when I drink that. Some nights I forget it, and then the morning after I remember that I forgot because I had such restless sleep. So yeah, but so here's the thing: the magnesium needs it. The magnesium not as bioavailable without the calcium and the D3 and the K2. That's why the Bone Fortify is formulated the way it is to help with the uptake of magnesium. If you want to get the magnesium in and make it as bioavailable as possible, you've got to balance. What was the other one? It was turmeric and curcumin. You had to have them and for them to be taken up. You guys, everything is pretty similar to that. Protein and fats when you eat them for the proper absorption and utilization of them in the body. Carbohydrates and fibers need to be paired for your bodies to utilize them properly and not cause more illness. So yes, it is necessary in uptake of magnesium. So that's what I would do for the no sleep. You know, then there's just a lot of, I would watch, there's a guy on YouTube called ADHD Vision. There's a ton of from the psychological point of tips and hints to help you with ADHD and possibly getting rest and whatnot. I watch him all the time. I find him extremely valuable. So that's the ADHD part. But now look, I have ADHD. I was diagnosed with autism as an adult, and it's been a rough go, right? Just all the stuff. But what I understand is when I'm taking care of my diet, when I'm watching all of these things, all of that starts to get better. The orange does have some citrus in it for the orange flavor, yes. But it doesn't have, so when we're looking at what interacts with medications, I don't know if that's where you're going with it or if you just have a citrus allergy. But if you're thinking about what's interacting with medications, these don't have any negative interactions with medication. You can take any of your medications while still utilizing the system. The one citrus that causes problems with medications is grapefruit. And so there's none of that in this drink. So there's no negative interaction with medications. So if it's just a citrus allergy, then what if you have an allergy to inbox me, you could have your just test this to have an allergic reaction to it. That's what I would do. So that one I'm not as familiar with because I'm just a person like everybody else. I can look that up and do research on it. Interstitial. I know the word, but as far as insulin resistance and this stuff, I'm not a doctor, so I don't have all the answers. But I'm more willing to look them up. So let me write that down. And I'll try and get you an answer. Debbie. Debbie, you've been on before. Okay. It sets you on fire. Yeah, I'd be interested to find out if you actually have, because there is some in here, but it's not a lot. So it would be interesting to get an allergy test to see if this can work for you or not. I get it. It doesn't work for everyone, and that's unfortunate. But we do have some fiber that's similar without the citrus in it. So if you just reach out to me, we can figure that out and try and put something together that may work for you, where this is made for the general public, but it doesn't work for everyone for those reasons. Again, though, the Unimate does not have citrus in it. It just has that flavor because that's the flavor of the tea. The closest thing we could call it is lemon. But there is another fiber that I can get to you and pair with it to help you a similar that won't have the citrus in it if you just reach out to me. And you just got to go to my Good Morning Milla over on Facebook. You just got to reach out to me through that linked in my link tree here on TikTok, and we can work that out. Yeah, so let's try that, Debbie. What I would love to do is try the other fiber, and then have you tried the fiber, the balance, and it sets you on fire? If that's true, then let's just talk and find the fiber that works for you. Because I can, okay. I'm so sorry. I have so many names and I want to reach out to people, but I don't always get to. So let's talk. If you're on my list, let's talk, and we'll work out how to find that that fiber that can work similarly for this and still get you some results without the citrus. Okay. I don't know why I forget these things sometimes, but I do. So this is why people ask questions, and I love when they ask questions. Okay. So, any other questions about any of that so far? You guys, I am doing a 48-hour fast. Today is right now. Let's see. I think I had my last at 6, so I'm 14, almost 15 hours into a 48-hour fast. This is actually super easy, you guys. I don't need to push it past 48 hours. So tomorrow night at 6, I will have dinner. So it's really about a day and a half of fasting if you look at it, because there's 2 nights of sleeping in there. And then I'm just drinking my water. I'm getting in some electrolytes. We don't have an electrolyte program profile, so I do use Element, LMNT, for electrolytes, and that's been doing great for me. But what I'm also doing with this new system that I'm doing, or this new protocol, I'm still doing my fiber and my tea. Because I have some really difficult weight to lose because of gallbladder and all of that, I am not doubling up. Instead of doing 2 of these in a day, I'm doing 3. When I did my fiber count, what they say is we need about 30 grams of fiber in a day. When I sat down and put all of the food that I ate on my eating days into a calculator, I was getting like 37 to 40 grams of protein in a day. Woo, probably the first time in my life that I've gotten the recommended amount of protein or fiber in. Debbie, let's do it. Can you drink more than 1 tea a day? Yes, I'm going to tell you about that right now. So I'm doing 3 of these a day. I may be on these 2 days because I like to play with things and see how they go. These don't really break your fast, but they cause a reaction in your gut that creates short chain fatty acids. Those short chain fatty acids key up ketones. So is your gut getting the rest for autophagy that it would normally on just water? No. So I would just wait on that. But I'm going to do 3 a day of these right now because I feel like I have some gut dysbiosis going on. So I'm doing 3 of these a day. On a normal 48-hour fast, I wouldn't do these, but I allow myself at least 2 of these a day. And we do have a pack now that is a booster pack of Unimate. So if you want extra Unimate and to get that discount of the cost and be able to get the free shipping and stuff, we have that booster pack. It's on my my link tree as well, and you can get it in any of the flavors that's available or combination of. So yeah, so I have a hot tea that I'm drinking in the morning, and I want to talk about that today too. Guys, I finally am diving back in after all this chaos the last 2 months in my life and trying to study more and stuff. So I'm drinking it hot in the morning because that actually helps motivate the gut and get it going. It helps with a lot of the fat loss properties as well first thing in the morning, and just getting stuff which we want. We don't want toxins holding on in our gut that leaks back into our system and causes inflammation and fat retention and all of that. So hot in the morning. Now, when I finish that, I will have this cold. Crazy thing is, how many of you guys have been told that iced drinks shut down your metabolism? Put a 1 in the comments if you've been told that iced drinks shut down your metabolism. And I'm just looking into this, so I just want to have a discussion about it. But if you've been told that iced drinks shut down your metabolism, thank you, petty me. So there's at least one person, because I've been told that. I love iced drinks, and it was the hardest thing for me to give them up, right? So I'm drinking my tea hot, which I've learned to really love in the morning. It's actually kind of warm now. Let's deal with iced drinks. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of research, but what I heard from Dr. Lee, Dr. L.I., he's written a couple of books. Dr. Yao wrote the Gene Eating ones. He wrote Eating to Beat Your Diet. Dr. Lee says this. What he's saying is when you have an iced drink, not, according to him, it's not shutting down your metabolism, because what happens is when this iced drink, and especially with the Unimate and the other actions that are done in it, it gets in your gut. Now your gut's cold, and your body perceives that your gut's cold and that you need to warm up. So it's telling your body, according to Dr. Lee, that you need to warm up. So it's kicking up your fire in your body, your metabolism, to create the heat that the body's perceiving it needs so that you can warm back up. So according to him, the iced drinks can actually help speed up your metabolism. And that's crazy, because that goes against everything I've ever heard. Now, I don't have the sources for where he saw that, what he's saying. I need to look into it. I just heard it late last night as I was listening to Dr. Lee talk about a number of things. But I thought that was super interesting. And I was also really happy because I'm a huge iced drinker. So and to science is always changing, you guys. The more we look for things, the more we find. And so, we just sit on our rears and say, oh, this is what we knew. And with that, then we may have problems. So when there's these brilliant people out there looking for other answers, looking to say, does this really happen? Is this really real? Is there something else at play? And they find a new answer, then I like that, because science is always changing. And and I think that's interesting. To me, that was super impactful last night. I'm so glad that you guys are impacted by it too. I'm going to do some more looking into it to see if I can find the resources that lead him to say that. But that's his presumption, is that it's actually helping your metabolism because you need warmth. And it makes, they're doing ice baths, right? So it's a very, very minor form of the ice bath, according to Dr. Lee. So if we're saying that when we do an ice bath, it's kicking up our metabolism because our body's saying we need warmth. Well, this is like the very small amount of that happening internally, according to Dr. Lee. And I found that really interesting and really hopeful, because I've never been able to give up my iced drinks, and it's really impactful to me. So, oh, you mix Casey, that's the first I've heard of that. So you mix black coffee. Do you mix them together, the black tea in your black coffee? So then what's happening is you're getting now twice the caffeine. So let's talk about it, because I'm not saying it's bad. So our tea has 80 to 120 grams of caffeine. We don't standardize it to the caffeine. Your coffee probably has about the same. So you're getting anywhere from 160 to 240 grams of caffeine in that one sitting. So you probably have a ton of energy. More than 275 grams of caffeine starts to be a problem, right? So you're in that range still. But now you've taken the smaller amount of chlorogenic acids with coffee and combined it with the greater amount of chlorogenic acids from the tea. And so the tea has 3 times the chlorogenic acids as the coffee. So that's kind of down-regulated in the overall mix, but still helping the chlorogenic acids from the tea, still helping mediate the caffeine from the coffee. So now what you're probably getting, just thinking through things, you're probably getting that higher level of energy with some mediation that's still not having you crash afterwards. You don't use the whole pack. So that would be interesting. The other thing, if you find that amount of caffeine, I'm going to go back to a food. If you find that amount of caffeine hard, you really, what we want to try and get is like the chlorogenic acid. The only thing that I'm thinking of right now that has that high chlorogenic acids besides the tea and the coffee is pears. You really don't want to do that in your fasting window. How does it feel when you do those? I know it tastes great, but how does it feel when you mix the coffee and the tea? What I would probably do, I'm not a coffee drinker, but I might try this now. I might use the whole pack of Unimate and only mix, so maybe mix half of it, the Unimate, in less water, and do half of the cup in coffee and see how that is. So it's not as much caffeine from the coffee. still getting the full benefits of the yerba mate and see how that tastes. I might try that. Never been a huge coffee drinker, so it's not been on my radar, but that might, you don't feel any crash. You stevia in it also. That's great. All those are great things. So yeah, I would assume that the chlorogenic acids in the Unimate are helping with the crash. That would have been my first assumption. So that's crazy good. I'll have to let people know that. For my people who just absolutely need to have coffee, that's a great solution. I do want to try it with a whole pack of Unimate and a half coffee though, and see how that goes. Okay, so back to the fast. Debbie, if you want to start the fast, I don't know where you're at, but if you're prepared, some people need to mentally prepare. I kept trying during the holidays and I just couldn't pull it off. So after the first of the year, after I started on the 2nd, so I'm only 6 days out from my last 48-hour fast, but I really want to fast on Monday and Tuesday because I have so many other events with family and stuff in the later of the week. And then if you want to do this with me, I will share with you how I'm eating at 4 yesterday. Perfect. So you're already even further into the fast than me. You're like 17 hours into it, right? So all you got to do is make it till 4 tomorrow, and let me. If you are you interested in how I'm eating during the week? Because if you are, I'll share that with you. And been on the system for 30 days, fasting 22 hours, only hungry for one meal. So the one thing that I'd say, Casey and Debbie, I'll get that to you. It's actually pretty simple. And just, you might not have everything right now, but just do the best you can, or just talk to me and we'll come up with something for your 5 days of eating that works for you and still gets you to those macro loads. My protein intake was, instead of only 80 a day overall over the week, I was probably at 150 grams a day, which, you guys, if you're trying to lose weight, you've got to get your protein up. I was listening to a couple of different doctors talk about sarcopenia and insulin resistance yesterday. And besides the insulin being a problem, not enough protein is a problem. I'm not talking about 200 grams of protein, but most of us just are not getting in enough protein. Good, Patty. Petty me. So if you're doing the 36 and 12 thing, still get a hold of me. I will support you through that. Let's text and talk throughout the time. On the 36 and 12 fasting was great. If you can make it through even 2 weeks of 36 and 12, I would encourage you to go to the 48-hour fast. I'm doing it now. I'm going to give you guys some updates that goes for me, but so far it's broken some weight for me that I was struggling with. So now I want to go back to OMAD. So OMAD can be great, but what I like to do is I did a little spreadsheet and I said, okay, if on an average day, because this is not about calorie counting, okay, this is not about calorie counting, but it is about the protein and the fiber and the fats. So if I need to get in about 30 grams of protein in a day, or not 30 grams of protein, 30 grams of fiber in a day, and I need to get in about 100 grams of protein in a day, then how am I going to do that in one meal? For me, 100 grams of protein in a sitting, I feel like my gut would maybe shut down a little bit and have some digestive issues. So if not weight, the 8 and 12 still is helpful in resetting your gut, getting some of your other issues moving. So I'm trying to lose weight because I have resistant insulin resistance. Like, most of my symptoms are better, but I've still had a problem losing the last 40 or so pounds that I want to lose. So I'm really excited to see. My goal is I might have to move again in April. My son might be switching jobs, and where my grandson goes, I go. So that means I might have to move. And I'm like, I don't want to pack all the skin. So I said, well, then you better lose the last 40 pounds so you can just get rid of the clothes here and buy new ones there. That's my motivation. I don't feel like I need to be twiggy thin. I just want to be healthy, and not have excess fat in areas that don't make sense. So, all right. So, all right, back to Casey's question. I got off track. So what I did this weekend when I started thinking about all these things, and I sat down and said, if I need to get in about 2,000 calories a day, 800 to 2,000 calories a day, just to be healthy, because we're not talking about down regulation of calories, and I need to get in this amount of fiber, I need to get in that amount of proteins, then if I take that per day and multiply it out for 7 days, now I have a bulk number for the week. So what I really did with my 5 days of eating on my 48-hour once a week fast is I tried to aim to get that amount of protein and fiber in during the 5 days that I'm eating. And I was so full. I wasn't overeating. I ended up losing 4 pounds. For me, that was my goal. I feel better. I see inflammation gone. I see a number of things happening. And this is just week 1. So I'm going to be doing this for the next couple of months to see what can happen. But I really, really just focused on my days of eating in fiber and protein. The crazy thing I said earlier is I ended up with the little schedule that I wrote out, getting in almost twice as much fiber as I'm getting now and twice as much protein as I'm getting now over the course of the week, although I only ate 5 days. So it's not about calorie restriction. The 48-hour fast is not about calorie restriction. That's one thing that I just disagree with. And it's really about getting in the proper nutrients when you are eating. So that's the same thing I would say, Casey, with you, is just to make sure that you're really focusing on that fiber, protein, and fats above anything else, and really fill up with those. Even though you've only eaten, so one of the mistakes that I see, and I'm not saying this to you, one of the mistakes I see with people doing OMAD is they're like, okay, I didn't eat for 22, 24 hours. Now I'm going to have this meal. And so I'm in this fasted state. So I'm going to eat a little tiny bit of food because I really want to up that weight loss, right? I really want to up that. So I'm going to just really down regulate the amount of nutrients getting in. Well, what you're actually doing is down regulating your metabolism. And the next time you eat, it's really not having that same effect. Your body still needs those nutrients. Your body needs nutrients. So if you're even doing OMAD, then I would invite you to use a food tracker, or like I have my own little list because I have the foods I use and I plug everything in to see where I'm at so I can calculate it out and see what's doing. Just because I haven't had a food calculator that I really enjoy lately, but make sure you're getting those nutrients in that one meal, which mean like that you're eating more than you think you need to in that meal because you need the nutrients, not because you need the calories. So make sure you're getting in. For you, you're probably going to have to up that, like a large chicken breast, which is really hard for me to ingest anymore. But a large chicken breast would give you 60 to 80 grams of protein. You need that. And the fiber, you may want to be doing 2 packets of so you're getting 10 grams of fiber there, and then focusing on your vegetables and whatnot to get the rest of your fiber out of that, and then adding in some good healthy fats, whether it's butter, ghee, avocado. I have the little avocado, mashed avocado cups. I add them a lot. One of the protein shakes I do on 2 of the days that I do this is a chocolate mint protein shake, and it has avocado and spinach in it. You don't taste the avocado and spinach, but that's an effort to get some of those extra nutrients and fats in, and it works great, and I stay full for so long. During my 3 eating days, I felt like I was having to consciously eat the meals that I had planned out. Like I really had to sit down and be like, okay, you have to get these nutrients in. Crazy thing is I wasn't focused on hunger. My mindset shifted to nutrients. And how am I going to get the nutrients in that I want? And that, I think, made a huge difference. Hey, Karen. Now, Karen, did you go to Vegas too, or are you still up in at home? I need to go again one time soon. I just have been so crazy busy. Okay. So 48-hour fast. The link is not working. Let me try it over here and see. It's working on my end. The link to the link tree or the link to the product. Let me see if I can, if it will show up. Sometimes it lets it show up and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to put it here. Do you guys see the link I just dropped in? Because when I from my side it's working. So I don't know what to say other than you can try that link. Or you can just go to Linktree, type in Linktree, and then type in Coach Misha Fayant, and that will get you to my landing where all the links are. But I just checked both of them, they're working. So the other one, the direct to the product, is, and again, I don't know because sometimes Linktree doesn't, or TikTok doesn't like them to show up in the comments, and that's the link to the. So if you see either one of those links, then we're good to go. Over here on Facebook, Melba, you already have it. There we go. So, okay, and I'm going to do something right now. Let's flip this around. I'm going to show you this live on the other side, and there's a ticker on the bottom that has the address, and because TikTok just doesn't like to let it show through, and my phone number on the bottom. So you'll see it right there. You guys, if you see my number down there or my website, you can just go there and get a hold of me as well if the link isn't working for you here on TikTok. Okay. So I'll leave that up for a second so you guys can get that written down. If you guys can see that, grab that. I do answer texts. If you're not in the US and you want to use WhatsApp, I'm on WhatsApp. Just add me. But there we have that. So we were talking a little bit about I'm upgrading my protein. Let's talk about the fiber today. Why I'm upgrading fiber. The more I learn about the gut microbiome, and it's stuff that I knew, but maybe I just wasn't focusing on it. But look, I've had multiple surgeries throughout my life. I've had multiple injuries. I've not had the best diet for part of my life. I'm not, I drank alcohol for a long time. Not a lot. Like occasionally I drink alcohol. I don't drink it now. But all of that can disrupt your gut microbiome. Now, when you disrupt your gut microbiome and it starts to create more negative gut bacteria, the positive gut bacteria really never rebounds and comes back to where it was. So there's a problem with fat for some of us, right? So part of what I'm doing is trying to get that to reset. So part of the 48-hour fast is actually for me getting my gut microbiome to reset. This is not recommended by anyone, just my own ideas in my head. Why I will be doing these today. So I'm going to be adding these in because they're prebiotics. So is it going to give my gut full rest during these 48 hours? No. But is it going to help feed the positive microbiome in my gut while I'm fasting? Yes. Is it going to help me kick up ketones while I'm fasting? Yes. So that's in my estimation. That's not what I wanted. That's why I don't have a problem getting bored with protein. So let's talk about that because Melba had a question on how do you not get bored with certain protein. I eat a whole lot of chicken. I'm gonna work today on getting that cookbook uploaded, as imperfect as it is. My biggest concern with it is that my protein sources are primarily chicken in the book. Red meat is not as unhealthy as some of these doctors are trying to do. There's a lot of research out now. Dr. Bickman highlights that how red meat is good for you. So there is like a peppered steak recipe in there. but there's a lot of chicken. So like yesterday, or during my, not yesterday, during my eating, my big eating days, my 3 big eating days on my feed days, which I actually, you guys, I still am doing a 16/8 fasting between the 48. But on those 3 days, I'm eating a meal every 4 hours to get my protein and my fiber in. So I had a chicken that was sauteed with a little bit of chicken stock, some artichokes, a mix of Greek olives, and some feta cheese. So that's a little different flavor than I normally have. Sometimes I do a saute with mushrooms, tomatoes, right? A little bit more carbohydrates and some of those things. But like one day I like to do a Chipotle style bowl. There's a lot more carbohydrates in that day than I normally like to get in. So black beans, I don't do the rice, the chicken. There's some great recipes. I will try, if I can get my rear end gear today, I'll try to include the recipe for that Chipotle bowl. If anybody's interested in it, I'll try and get that included in the book before I get it out to everyone who's on subscription. But that bowl for me has the tomato, sweet corn salsa, the chicken, the black beans, guacamole, sour cream, and cheeses. So that's a lot of protein. Okay, so that meal I try to save for like one day of the week because it's higher carbohydrates. So I'll get that put in the book then, Melba. But then there's just, I don't know. I do a lot of different like the Italian chicken recipe where it's sauteed with some mushrooms and tomatoes and butter, and so it's more creamy. Those are all in there. There's a lot of chicken recipes in there. There are a lot of these shakes, although I haven't been an advocate for shakes. What I'm understanding for me right now is that in order for me to get in the protein and everything I need, sometimes I just don't want to eat all the food. So I drink a shake. It keeps me super full, and those recipes are in there too. Okay, Petty Me. And you're waiting for your order to come in. I am behind on getting texts out, so that's one of my cues today too. What do I drink while I'm fasting? So while I'm fasting, I have my tea, which is the tea from the system that I use, and I drink water. So I drink the tea and I drink water. I do the other drink in this day because I have some alarms set to remind me to get drink and everything. This is pretty simple for me. So my tea first thing in the morning. I'll have another one later throughout the day. This tea, whether hot or cold, shuts down your hunger, helps you with mood, helps you with mental clarity, helps you with energy, helps you with fat burning. So it helps with the gut, it has anti-cancer, antioxidant properties in it. So just a really great tea. It's 375 times more potent in chlorogenic acid than any other yerba mate tea that's out there bagged, plus a reduction of the pesticides and toxins. So this is what I do. And then I drink a lot of water. And then the other 2 drinks I'll have during today, the next 2 days, and I try to do it every day, but today are, and I'm not a promoter of, I just utilize it, the Element, LMNT, electrolyte. I don't have cramping, I don't have fatigue, I don't have a number of those things when drinking that. And when you're fasting, it's super important to get those electrolytes in. So in a couple hours, I'll have an Element in hot water. And then before I go to bed, I'll be drinking my bone calcium, magnesium, D3K2. So those are the drinks I have during the day. 2 Unimate, an Element for the electrolytes, Bone Fortify at night for metabolism and sleep, and then just lots of water in between. Okay, so none of those. This has about 10 calories in it per serving, so that's about 20 calories. I cannot find the calorie count on Fortify. I'm going to ask today or call customer service or a representative why there's no calorie count on the package. You can do bone broth. I have some bone broth and I get out, but I just have not gotten it in on my fasting days. I do bone broth when I do a longer fast, but bone broth on this 48-hour I think is fine also for me. Dr. Jones will be on live with me tomorrow night. He's the one who got me on the system. We'll be live Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. And we'll go over all of the stuff. So if you have more questions you want to ask of him and get his opinion on it too, that's great. This is how I'm doing it. And so, Melissa, if you ordered from me, make sure you get a hold of me when that comes in so we can go over it and make sure you get everything you need out of it. And Debbie, I haven't, and we're going to get you fixed with the fiber. You guys, fiber is so key. I haven't talked about it enough because I get off track on all the things that insulin resistance links into, because I really want people to understand how important this is. But insulin resistance and your gut microbiome are so closely linked. Those two things, changing those two things can change the entirety of your health. For most people, it's impactful. Okay, good. From Jason. Oh, perfect, Melissa. I will still, if it's Jason Vogler and he's brilliant, you can talk to him, you can talk to me. If you put it on subscription and you're Jason's gal, let me know if you want the cookbook. I'll get it out to you too. Okay. Jason's amazing. Jason's lost over 160 pounds. He's brilliant, such a smart man, such a soul. I love Jason to life. I love him to life. Okay. It's Eastern time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific tomorrow night with Dr. Jones. And we're going to be going over the system that I'm doing. I have not read his book yet. I hate to admit my flaws, but I haven't read his book yet. I'm ordering it so that next week we can talk about his book and all things with this 48-hour FlOA fast, like our ancestors program that he has. It's interesting. I've wanted to do a 48-hour fast for a long time every week, wondering how that would help me, but was afraid because so many people said that it wasn't good for you. And actually, he's doing a lot with it. So I'm really, really hopeful with that. You guys, again, for me, this is not just about weight loss. This is about resetting my gut from years and years of abuse. I've had so many. I will get a link to his book on my recommendations. I can't even tell you the name of his book. I'll have to look it up by his name. But I'll get his book put on my recommendations page after this live. Let me write that note down. So give me about a half an hour after this live. I'll open up the link for the Bone Fortify if you guys are interested in sleep and some extra help with ADHD. It's Dr. Jones. And then I will also get his book put on the link. Dr. Jones link. And there is a link to Dr. Jones on my the FlOA protocol on my link tree as well. Okay. I will say I love Dr. Jones and I love what he's doing. He does do some peptide work with people, and I'm not a big advocate of GLP-1s. So I'm still an advocate. I'm just doing it with the Feel Great system, and that's where I like to stay. I did read I watched a video from Dr. Bickman this morning talking about the same thing that I've been saying, and he's where I get some of the information. When you're looking at some of the peptides, they're increasing your production of insulin. They're really not making you more insulin sensitive. That increase in insulin can maybe in the short term, but what's happening is making you more insulin resistant. And unfortunately, I've heard some stuff from people who are, I did Mounjaro for a long time. I lost some weight, but I'm gaining it back. I'm struggling and whatever. Yeah, because those medications should not be taken long term. They just shouldn't, in my opinion. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just listening to the doctors that I trust. But yeah, if you really want to change your metabolic health, you've got to change and understand that it's not a drug. It's not a drug that ever made you sick. It's your food and how you ingest and what you ingest in your food. Now, is it all your fault? No, because if 93% of us are metabolically unhealthy, that means that 90% of our food system is unhealthy. And so we just need to know what happened to our food so that we can start to feel better and get our health back. That's why I love the system, because it's just put back in what's been stripped out so that our bodies can react to food in a better way. I've heard many doctors over the last year talk about this phenomenon that our food is not the same. Our food has been so manufactured, so modified that our bodies genetically have not caught up to the changes in our food, and our bodies are like, I don't know how to handle this. So we have so high levels of sugar in our dry spot. We have high levels of sugar in our blood. We have insulin kicking out because of it. We have all of these things happen because proteins, enzymes, and fibers have been stripped from our foods. So if we really want to get to the root of what made us sick and stop the circle, stop the rebounding back and forth between everything with our health, and I'm not just talking about weight, I'm talking about our health, we've got to understand that our bodies are looking for specific things. Fiber, protein, and fats are some of them. And how many of you guys have learned over the last 50 years that we haven't been focusing on fiber until recently, but protein and fats have been kind of bastardized, especially fats in our diets, and yet we need them. And so instead, our diets have become full of carbohydrates. And yeah, great marketing ploy for the food industry because carbohydrates keep you hungry. Your insulin levels high. They keep you wanting more of that. They keep you less full. And now we're having all the sicknesses. And instead of addressing the insulin resistance that's causing all of them, we're pumping ourselves full of medications created by the big pharma industry to help with what the food industry did to us. So why not slow our roll? Stop all this quick fix BS. Good day, Debbie. We'll be talking to you soon, okay? Stop all the quick fix madness and really address what's going on. You didn't get sick overnight. You're not going to feel better overnight. And if you do, then there's probably other health implications. I've talked about this story many, many times, but I'm going to say it again. I worked in a medical offices for years. One of the most impactful, we all have, our brain only holds on to so many memories, guys. Remember that. So we all have a memory that's just really impactful. This is one for me. A lady came in. I was in an allergy clinic, actually. The hormone clinic lady had left the country. But in an allergy clinic, this lady comes in. She's sick with so many things. And we're testing her for allergies because now she's allergic to a ton of different things as well. But I do her intake. I'm rooming her. I'm getting all her vitals. I'm doing all this stuff. And I get to the question of, what medications are you on? And she just looks at me with tears in her eyes and pulls out 2 bags of medications and said, you figure it out. I don't even know how to take this. I have a hard time even taking it. So as I started putting her medications in the EMR, recognizing, well, this was her main complaint, and here's this medication. But this medication has side effects that cause this medication. Side effects from this medication cause this medication. And dun, 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 dun. Now she has 2 bags of medications because the first one started the whole snowball effect. And now she's in the other room sicker than ever, not really getting better. And that's part of the reason I'm not a big advocate for medications. I had 2 family members who were pharma reps, and yeah, they would probably agree with a lot of that. In fact, the pharma reps know more about the drugs at the time than the doctors do. They're the ones educating the doctors on what drugs to give. So there's some of my issues with that. Now, so why not go back to what's naturally causing us to be ill so we can actually get better from the inside out? That's all I did. I lost 50 pounds, got my heart pressure, my blood pressure under control. My heart rate is better. All of my sleep apnea is better. My pain levels are better. I don't have failing joints anymore. All of that, all because I addressed my insulin resistance. So is it a drug that caused all of that to get better for me? No, it wasn't. I was on 13 different drugs 2.5 years ago, and I was getting worse. That's why I'm here talking about this, so that you guys can get better. Now, some people already know. If you want to know more about the system I use, go to the link in my bio. I have already posted it on Facebook. You guys can find it there. And when I get done with this, the commitment is to get this book out, as imperfect as it is. As I get more recipes, I will update it for you guys. But I do eat a lot of chicken. And here's the thing, with the book that I have, and maybe I will include this, maybe I'll include a little sheet on the 48-hour fast. I'll send that later, or I'll get the book today. I do eat a lot of chicken. I try to eat pretty simply. I like tasty food too. What I'm learning from a lot of diabetes doctors is that the more we try to make our food this glorious thing with all these flavors and all this stuff, the more we're focusing on the reward center of food instead of the nutrient center of food, and then we train our brains to overeat. So if we can simplify our food and have food that tastes great, but keep it simple, the better time we'll have with all of this regulation. So there's that. And my oh, you guys, I woke up on fire this morning. I have so much I want to do. I feel good. It's a little cold out. I'm so on board for this gut microbiome thing. So I talked about it once before. I'm going to talk about it again. Even though I'm doing the 48-hour fast, I'm doing my tea during the fasting days. I'm doing at least 2 of these during the days. And then I will be doing 3 of these every day on my eating days. This week, just to see what happens for me, I'm going to do 3 on my fasting days. Please don't do that. This is my own personal test. But because I'm trying to get my gut microbiome changed, do I want to let my, I probably won't do it every week because I do my gut microbiome to clean up and get rid of some stuff. But I feel like these packets of fiber, because they're soluble and insoluble fiber, a good combination of them, help increase the good bacteria in my gut. These are prebiotics. I just recently, because I was never a big advocate of probiotics, not a huge advocate, until I started learning more about the gut microbiome. So it's great that I'm putting these prebiotics in, but I need more of the good probiotics. So I am using our probiotics, which should be here in a day or 2. I had these couple that I'm adding in once a day as well to help the whole gut. So my effort is to get my gut microbiome cleaned up. Cravings go down, fat burning goes up if you need fat burning. The inflammation that's passing out to the rest of your body and showing up as autoimmune. Some doctors are talking about how all autoimmune comes from inflammation linked to the gut. Better mood and whatnot from the gut being able to transfer messages to the brain, now that I understand that the gut to brain axis is bigger than the brain to body axis. Through the vagus nerve, there's more communication going that way than down through the central nervous system. It even makes me want this whole gut microbiome under, or even more. It means I will hope to have better usage of serotonin and dopamine, because more is going to be translated from the gut. GABA and norepinephrine are also going to be able to be uptaken much better through the vagus nerve than when I have a diseased gut. So that means better mood, less depression. And yes, guys, with ADHD and autism, I suffer with depression more often than I like to admit. My depression is not as severe as it used to be. I used to have nights where I laid in bed and cried and begged God to take my life, because I would never unalive myself. But I just didn't want to be here anymore. And so I would cry, like out loud cry, and beg to just not wake up in the morning. I haven't had any of those nights in over 2.5 years since I got the insulin resistance under control. But I still battle with some mild depression. So I'm going to work on the gut microbiome, and we're going to fix that. So if you want more information on any of that, let me know. I'll do videos on it. I'm going to continue to really dive back into studies and helping bring more, especially the new science to you guys. I feel like it's important that we hear the new stuff, and that we're not just going on the stuff that was produced 50 years ago that was imperfect. So now that they're looking at insulin resistance more, they're finding more and more things that are being helped, like the gut, the brain, the muscles, all of it, by helping the insulin resistance. And I haven't even talked about that today. I will talk about it before I hop off today. I have a friend who has MD1. They were talking about their anxiety. They were talking about gut issues. They were talking about a number of other things. So I sent them information on this, because I'm a great like I'm a proponent of the system because it's done so much for me. I woke up this morning feeling like I had all of this stuff happen in my life because I lived through it and got better from it, and now I can help other people. So I sent them information. They're with MD1, they're already very thin and they're struggling to keep muscle on. And so we had to have a discussion about how insulin resistance actually creates a form of sarcopenia, mild to severe sarcopenia, where your muscles are not getting energy uptaken into them. So the fiber, the protein, and the fats is not all about weight loss. For some people, it can be about healthy muscle gain. And when I went and took a look, it didn't take very long to find an article on the NIH that links MD1 to insulin resistance. Now, is it linked in everyone? No. It's a subset of MD1 that has some insulin resistance, which is exacerbating their sarcopenia. But here's the thing. If it has a 90-day money-back guarantee and it's healthy and it's giving you health back by helping your gut microbiome, so if you're having IBS and symptoms like that, and this is helping it, then for that, why wouldn't you do that? If it's reducing the insulin level and helping your muscles uptake energy better, why wouldn't you try it for 90 days? And then if it's not working or it doesn't feel right, you know, go with that. But I'm shocked at every time I look something up to see, is there a link, and what is the link to insulin resistance, that most often there is a link, even in a small amount. The link with insulin resistance in M1, muscular dystrophy type 1, is still being looked into. They just recently started looking at it. So even though it says a subset now, in future years, it may expand on that because it was a very small study that they just started looking at it, but it's interesting to me, link even there. So with that, I'm going to go get this cookbook cleaned up so I can get it to my subscribers. And Debbie, I'm going to get you a link to the fiber that works and for you without citric acid in it, and see if we can get you back on track. Okay, and have a great day at work. Everybody have a wonderful day. I'll be back at 8 to 8:30 in the morning, and then again at 8 p.m. sharp, because Dr. Jones will be there tomorrow night. That's Eastern time. I know it's a little early for you guys on the West Coast, but already early here. So have a great day. We'll talk to you all soon.